Hello, I'm Milt Tandy. I'm the president of WireCrafters in Louisville, Kentucky. And you know, we manufacture wire partitions, but there's a lot of different applications for wire partitions. Now, the one thing about this, whether you're going into a manufacturing facility or you're going into a warehouse or distribution center, there are applications for wire partitions throughout most any building. So it's something that you can look for the moment that you walk into a building. So let's take a walk in right now and see what we have here. So when you're measuring a driver cage, there's a few things that you got to look for. In this particular instance, we've got an overhead door track running along the wall here. And then on the far side, there's an I-beam going up. So you've got to take that measurement to see how wide can the cage be, okay? Then you got to check coming out away from the wall. We really did not have an obstruction coming out. So what we did is we left enough room to have a service window panel. It comes in a 4-foot wide panel, and it's roughly about 2 foot square. And then we gave a little extra room with a 2-foot panel there so that we could come out about 6 feet and give that person a little bit of room inside the cage. That's for the truck driver to have a little more room there. You've also got to look overhead to see if there's going to be any overhead obstructions. We don't have anything overhead in the way, but in some cases, you're going to have an exit sign or something like that. You might have conduit running across. You got to look for those things. So once again, you're going to check and see how wide can you go. Wide enough to have a 3-foot door plus maybe one panel on the side of it, at least a foot wide, is always helpful. So I would try to be at least 4.5 feet wide. And then you're looking at how the depth. In this case, we're going back about 6.5 feet. Keep in mind that the panels come in 1-foot increments, 1 foot wide, 2 foot wide, up to 10 foot wide. So you've got a lot of variety there. But then every post takes up 2 inches and it adds to that dimension. So in this case, we have a 2-inch post, a 2-foot panel, a 2-inch post next to the service window, the window itself, and another 2-inch post. Takes up roughly 6 feet 6 inches. In this cage, we do not need a ceiling. We do not feel that we have the security needs that call for a ceiling over the cage. Some people may. We don't feel like we have it here. So that's about everything we've got as far as measuring the cage and what to look for. Okay, the next application that I'm going to show you is when you can use the WireCrafters rack back panels. This is an active aisleway. This is an area where people are going in and out of the office area into the shop area on a regular basis. So what we've done here is you can see that there's pallet rack and then there's WireCrafters rack back panels on the back of it. So what you have to do is the width of our panels is going to be whatever the beam width is. So if this is a 96-inch beam, then we're going to provide a 96-inch panel. We also need to know the type of pallet rack you're using. In this particular case, this is a very generic, kind of like it's got the double teardrop look to it. That works very well with the offset brackets that we have. We have 3 different offset brackets that we keep in stock. We have a flush mount, then we have another one that'll space from about 1.5 inches to about 3 1/4. And then the most popular one we seem to use is the offset bracket that is from 4-inch to a 6-inch offset. Now, if you need something to be an 8-inch offset or even a 12-inch offset, we can help you with that too. So again, what we need from you is what is the beam width, and that's what the panel size is going to be. Then we're going to look at the height of the upright. This particular panel begins about 2 feet off the floor. They didn't need to secure the very bottom. It then goes up to about 2 feet above the rack. Now, if it was more than 2 feet above the rack, let's say it extended 3 to 5 feet above the rack, we can provide slotted angle so that you can brace that top panel, kind of like an angle for the brace from the upright to the panel to keep it rigid. So anytime you're in a facility, you see pallet rack, take a look and see, is that an active aisleway? Are people walking up and down that area where something could get pushed over on top of them? And that's when you got to provide the safety and the security of the rack back product. Let's see what else we can find here. Okay, now we are in the area where we do some record storage, okay? So what we wanted was a two-sided cage that came off the in-plant office, and then it ran down to that second I-beam, which is up against that white structure down there. So what we did is we measured out, what would that dimension be? In this case, it was roughly about 13.5 feet. So we have a 2-inch post, a 3-foot panel, a 2-inch post, a 10-foot panel, and a 2-inch post. That gave us 13 feet 6 inches, and we're using all stock panels because the panels come in 1-foot increments, 1 foot wide, 2 foot wide, up to 10 foot wide. We're stacking 2 4-foot high panels to get the 8-foot height. So again, we have a 3 1/4 sweep space from the floor to the bottom of the panel, 2 4-foot high panels, and that takes the overall height to 8 foot 3 1/4. You'll notice that the posts extend above the panel 2 inches. And we do that just in case you want to put a ceiling panel on top of this. The slotted angle for the ceiling panel would rest on top of the wall panel between the 2 upright posts. So then we turned the corner, and we had to take it from this corner all the way down to the I-beam. Okay, from this area, you can see that we have a 5-foot wide slide door with an overhead track. The clearance underneath that track is 8 foot 0 1/4. Next to that panel, or next to that slide door, we have a 10-foot panel, another 10-foot panel, and a 3-foot panel down at the end. So that's telling me we roughly have 28 feet 10 inches, because on either side of every door and panel is a 2-inch post. So we have 5 2-inch posts along with the slide door and the panels. Once again, we got to look overhead to make sure we're going to be underneath any obstructions. We have some conduit up here that we are under. We chose to put the upright post in front of the I-beam instead of on the inside of it. That gives us just a little more security there. And as you can see, it's a 2-sided cage, 28 foot 10 inches, about 13 feet 6 inches. So very simply, you're checking the overall width, you're looking for any obstructions, and then you're trying to use stock panels when possible. Okay, now we are over at an electrical cage here at WireCrafters. So we've got electrical equipment inside here that we want to be secured and safe. So what we've done is we've gone with our standard 4-foot high panels. So we've got two 4-foot high panels, one stacks on top of the other, and that gives us our standard 8-foot height. You'll notice that there is a sweep space at the bottom. That's about 3 1/4 inches from the floor to the bottom of the panel. And then the top of the panel, therefore, is going to be 8 foot 3 1/4 inches. Now, as we look at the door arrangement, we've actually got two slide doors on this. So the first one is a 3-foot door. It allows us to get into this breaker box here. And then we have a second door down at this end. We can slide it to the side in order to get to that breaker box. But we're on one single track, meaning we can only open one door at a time. Now, if we had a need where we had to get into both areas at the same time, we could use a double track system. So we would have a double track bracket that has two tracks. One door would be on the inside, one on the outside, very much like a closet door, to where both doors could open at the same time and they could both kind of overlap and rest in the center so that you have access to both areas. So there's no obstruction overhead, so we didn't have any problems going with the overhead height. We chose not to put a ceiling on this cage. You can see we've got a lot of conduit coming out of the boxes. And really, we don't feel like anyone here is looking to climb over the fence and do anything to the electrical panel. So we didn't go with the ceiling panel. Had we wanted to, yeah, we could have. And then we had made cutouts, so we can make the cutouts at the factory. We could have made cutouts for the pipe so that you could put a secure ceiling panel over the top. Okay, now I'm in front of the WireCrafters guardrail. Now this guardrail is used to block fork truck traffic going into in-plant offices, or in this case, the EV room for the powder coat system at WireCrafters. This is our single high that you can see measures right at 18 inches high. So what we have in stock for the guardrail are rails that are 2 foot 8 inches wide up to 9 foot 8 inches wide. And we put that 8 inch in there because the upright is a 4 inch wide tube. So the rails measure 2 foot 8, 3 foot 8, all the way up to 9 foot 8. Guardrail is a very simple product to measure out. In this case, we had to go between the door entrance and the I-beam. It doesn't have to be exact. We had a few inches to play on either side. It's just to keep the fork truck traffic from running into the room. Let's walk over and take a look at the double high guardrail. Okay, now we're at the double high guardrail. You can see with the cap on the post, it measures about 43 inches. So this is for areas where you need a little more protection than just the single rail. So we've got our powder coat machinery here that this is protecting. We've got a lot of fork truck traffic that runs through here. Therefore, we put the double high in this area. Once again, the rails, this appears to be about a 7 foot 8 inch rail, which gives me 8 foot center to center to cover the given area. And then you can see that we provide the 4 anchors to anchor that base plate down. Now these base plates, they can be offset to one side if you were going tied up against a building we could put that base plate all the way to one side. Again, this is a very simple product for you to measure. It doesn't always have to be exact, and it gives you very good safety and security of your equipment. Now, as you can see around the corner, we've got some tall guardrail here. That's because we can do custom guardrail. So we needed to protect some of the machinery up at about the 6-foot height. We put a couple extra rails up high. So if you've got a special requirement, we can help you with that. It doesn't have to be single or double high. It can also be a custom height. These rails can also be a lift-out rail. These are bolted in, but we do have lift-out rails where you could just pick this up and remove it if you needed to get into a specific area. If you've got any more questions on the guardrail, you can always go to our website, WireCrafters.com, look at the product section and pick out guardrail or protective rail and get more information. Okay, so that concludes the training session. I hope you got something out of that. You can see how we want you to field measure the rack back areas. Those are some great applications anywhere there's an active aisleway. The driver cage, boy, that is a product that is selling like crazy. We're selling 75 to 100 driver cages every month. So be looking for those. We also looked at just the standard tool crib, record storage, electrical storage, different applications within a person's facility that you can show them putting up a wire partition can really give them more safety and security for their facility. And then we took a look at the guardrail, just a very simple application in front of an in-plant office, in front of a EV room for our powder coat system. We showed you the single high, the double high, talked about the lift out rails. These are a handful of products that should help you when you walk into a manufacturing facility or a warehouse and distribution center, something you can look for. Most every facility can use wire partition. So get out there, see what you can find. For more information, go to WireCrafters.com. You can always click on the resource tab. We have installation manuals on every product, along with brochures, marketing material that'll really help you. That's all we got today. We'll talk again.